In today's video, I will be attempting to survive 100 days in Minecraft Pixelmon with only fairy type Pokemon. I only have 3 goals for this 100 days. Firstly, to catch and use a fairy type legendary Pokemon. Secondly, to find and defeat a legendary raid den with my team. And lastly, to defeat 8 different gyms and obtain all 8 gym badges. So make sure you stay tuned to see if I can complete all 3 of these goals. Whilst you're watching along, why don't you tell me what your favourite fairy type Pokemon is in the comments down below. As always, if you do enjoy the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video. And lastly, just before we jump into the video, I've hidden a few little spoilers throughout the video to hint at my next 100 days at the end of October. So let me know if you find any with the biggest hint at the end of the video, so stay tuned. And as always, without further ado, let's jump right into 100 days in fairy type only Pixelmon. After loading into my world, I did a little bit of exploring until a Zacian spawned. On the first few minutes of my 100 days, a legendary Zacian spawned, which to catch this was one of my challenges in this 100 days. So to catch this thing would be amazing. Unfortunately though, I didn't have a Pokemon or any Pokeballs to catch it. So I headed over to the Pokemon Center where I met up with the Professor. I spoke to the Professor and she said, "Hello Wilson, finally the day has come for you to begin your new adventure. For your 100 days, I have set you a few challenges, which you should know by now. To help you on this journey, I want you to take this Popplio with you. Good luck on your adventure, and make sure to return to me once you've completed all of your challenges. Good luck, Wilson." So I followed the instructions of the Professor and took my Popplio as my first starter Pokemon. I then headed back over to the legendary Zacian, and I was going to challenge him, but then I realised something. If you head back to the Pokemon Center, there's always a chest in there that has potions, revives, all that sort of stuff that you can then take over to the Pokemart and sell. After selling all of the items that I'd got from the Pokemon Center, I bought as many Pokeballs as possible. And after buying the Pokeballs, I headed back over to Zacian, but he engaged me in a battle, and I figured I was too low level to damage him, so I threw one ball. But he instantly broke out and destroyed my Popplio with one slash. I knew at this point there was no turning back, so I just decided to throw as many Pokeballs as possible at Zacian, hoping that maybe just one of these Pokeballs would end up catching him. After throwing almost all of my Pokeballs, I finally struck gold. The Pokeball wiggled once, then twice, then 3 times, and boom! I actually managed to catch the legendary dog Pokemon, Zacian. And as you can tell by my reaction, I could not believe it. The fact that I'd actually managed to catch a legendary Pokemon on my first few days of 100 days was insane. And after changing his form with the rusted sword, he looked so cool. After I'd calmed down, I then realised that I still needed to make my tools, so I made a wooden tool and then upgraded those to stone tools. I then headed out on a little adventure where I ended up finding the second member to add to my team, a Hatenna. And the reason I wanted this one, not only because it's a fairy type, but also because its fully evolved form has the ability to G-Max. I then rotated to Dreadnought, and after defeating him, my Popplio evolved into a Brionne. I then continued exploring on Zacian until I encountered a raid den. Inside this raid den was a level 3 Tyrant, but unfortunately my Zacian didn't quite have the move Behemoth Blade yet, which would do 2 times the damage to Dynamaxed Pokemon. And if I ever found a legendary raid den, this would be the perfect move to bring in. Luckily though, this was only a level 3 raid den, which meant that Zacian beat it pretty quickly. I then encountered an Ultra Space Wormhole, and after a couple attempts of trying to jump into the portal, I finally made my way into Ultra Space. After exploring a little bit, I ran into an end city, and I found a bunch of shulkers which I wanted to defeat to make myself some shulker boxes to store all of my loot in, since I didn't have a home yet, so this would be a great way of storing all my items. After storing all of my items, I then headed up to the ship and managed to get myself an Elytra. I then defeated a Mareanie Den, After that, I then found a Clefairy which I ended up catching as well. I then put all of the items that I'd found in Ultra Space into my shulker box and then had a rocky exit out of Ultra Space. After leaving the Ultra Space, I then came across a Morlul, which I decided that I'd catch as well. After that, I defeated a couple raid dens, including a Furret and an Executor. I then came across a really weird haunted tower, which had a Gengar boss at the top, and after defeating him with Zacian, I unfortunately didn't get anything good. I then spent the next few days just travelling around on my Zacian, because he's so fun to ride around on, and I needed to explore as much as possible, just to find as many raid dens as I could, and get a load of XP to help with my team. I then came across a boss Mareep, which I managed to take out pretty easily with Zacian, getting me a Groundinium Z and a rare candy. I then defeated a Mr. Mime raid den, which led me to a mega boss Manectric, and after entering the battle, it one-tapped all of my Pokemon, so I knew I wasn't any match for these boss Pokemon just yet. After heading to the nearby Pokemon Center though, I found the Steel Gym, so I headed inside, and luckily for me, all of the trainers' levels and the gym leader was set at level 15. Which made this gym battle extremely easy for Brion to defeat. And after defeating the gym leader, I managed to get my first gym badge of this 100 days, the Mineral Badge. I then continued exploring where I defeated a Floatzel raid den, and then came across a giant mega boss Primal Groudon, which was insane, and for some reason I decided to try and take it on, but after seeing its level 121, it destroyed my Zacian in one hit, so I knew I had to run from this battle before it defeated the rest of my team. I then defeated a few more raid dens with a Numel and a Brion, and with the XP candies I'd gathered, I evolved my Brion into a Primarina. After exploring around on Primarina, I ended up finding the Stronghold underwater, which is extremely rare in Minecraft. But on this 100 days, I'm not going to really need to go to the end, so this didn't really matter too much to me. So I looted the rest of the Stronghold, getting myself some pretty good loot in the process, and getting myself 2 Arceus plates in the process, with the Iron Plate and the Fist Plate. I then encountered another raid den, this time it was the Ultra Beast Blacephalon, so I decided to take it on to see if I could defeat it, but the rest of my team weren't strong enough, which meant I ended up getting defeated by Blacephalon and he escaped from the raid den. I then continued defeating as many raid dens as possible, defeating a Magnezone raid den and also a Prinplup raid den. I then came across another gym, this time with the Ground Gym, and once again, like the Steel Gym, Primarina would be the perfect candidate for this, as I'd be able to sweep through most of the trainers and the gym leader. But as you can hear in this little edit here, like, Primarina did not stop singing her voice. I can tell why people don't like this Pokemon too much anymore, because it is just so annoying. Finally though, I entered the gym fight, and of course Primarina decided to tell everyone that it's Primarina. I finally though defeated the gym, getting myself my 3rd gym badge, the Earth Badge. I then defeated a few more raid dens with a Gible and a Bayleaf, and a boss Linoon, which gave me an Icinium Z and a rare candy. I then defeated a Pidgeot raid den, and used the XP candies that I gotten from the raid den to evolve my Hatenna up into a Hatrim. I then had a Mega Boss Venusaur spawn, and I tried to take it on, but once again I got absolutely destroyed by it with my Zacian, so I ended the battle and continued looking around. I then ended up defeating an Excadrill den. I then found a pretty good village, so I went into the Pokemon Center, set down some chests, and transferred all of my stuff from my shulker boxes into the chests. The location of my village was inside of a dark oak forest, which meant that I could spend the next few days just AFKing in there, trying to get one Pokemon in particular to spawn. And eventually, after waiting for 10 days, it finally spawned on me, and I was so excited. And that Pokemon was Xerneas. I was so happy when it spawned, as this was the other Fairy-type Pokemon that I wanted to catch to complete my legendary challenge. After throwing one ball at the Xerneas after getting it quite low, it rolled 3 times, and I thought I was going to catch it on the first ball, but unfortunately it broke out. So I just continued throwing balls at it for as long as I possibly could, until eventually, like with the Zacian, I hit gold, and I actually managed to catch the legendary Pokemon Xerneas. After catching the Xerneas, I then got him out and rode around on him for a little bit, and I was so happy that I'd actually managed to catch 2 legendary Pokemon that both had the fairy typing, which meant that I'd be able to use them. And with that, I can now tick one of my challenges off the list, to catch 2 different legendary Pokemon with the fairy typing. And I can't lie to you guys, I thought that this sort of challenge I'd be ticking off nearer to the 100 days ending. But we'll take it, only halfway through and I've already managed to tick this one off. This 100 days is going really well. After searching for so long for the Xerneas, I then had a little look and realised that there was 2 more fairy type Pokemon that I'd want to try and search for in the Dark Oak Forest. So I spent the next few nights and days just searching as much as I possibly could to find 2 certain Pokemon. Eventually I managed to find both of them, in which it was a Morgrem and a Mimikyu. And the reason a Mimikyu is so rare is because it only spawns during the dawn or the dusk, meaning I've only got 1 to 2 minutes between each day where I have the chance to find it, and since its spawn rate is so low, it took me quite a few days to eventually find it. After catching both of these 2 Pokemon, I headed back to the Pokemon Center, where I replaced Clefairy and Morlul, and added in the Morgrem and the Mimikyu. And as you can see, my team's looking pretty strong. I then continued defeating as many raid dens as possible to get a bunch of XP candies and rare candies to level up my Pokemon. While I was doing this, I then ended up finding a Mawile, which I ended up catching as well. I then continued defeating raid dens until I eventually came across the Fire Gym, and after heading inside and challenging the first trainer, of course Primarina had to sing her voice out as usual. I then continued defeating all of the gym trainers until my Hattrem evolved into a Hatterin, and then my Morgrem evolved up into a Grimmsnarl. I then continued the gym trainers until eventually I came up against a roadblock. There was a gym trainer who had 2 Charizards, and unfortunately they were just too powerful for my team. So I headed out and continued leveling off the raids until I had enough XP to then go back and challenge the gym. And whilst I was doing this, I then came across another steel gym, so I headed inside to get as much XP as I possibly could from the trainers, and after challenging the gym leader and defeating him, I managed to get another badge, but it wasn't the same one as I got before. After adding it in with my other badges, I now had 3 different gym badges for this 100 days. I then defeated an Araquanid raid den, and then found a desert temple, and after heading inside, I managed to get myself a GS ball and a relic statue. The reason the relic statue is so important is because when I head back to a Pokemart, I can sell it for over 200k, meaning I can now buy as many Quick Balls and Pokeballs as I'll possibly need. I then came across another gym, and this time it was the Flying Gym. So I headed inside and started defeating all of the trainers one by one, until eventually I managed to get all the way up to the gym leader. And after being super confident for the battle, unfortunately I defeated 3 of his Mons, but then he took me out of his Braviary, defeating me, so I decided to come back at a later time. I then headed into a village nearby and found an NPC that had a quest for me, and this quest was for the Dynamax band. So you already know I had to get started by defeating as many Pokemon as possible, until I came across the Rock Gym. And this gym is notoriously known for being the gym with the most trainers in, which meant I'd be able to defeat a bunch of Pokemon in here. So I went through and defeated all of the Pokemon, and by the time I managed to get to the top, I found a Mega Boss Bayonet, and after defeating it, I got myself a Mega Stone, an EXP share, a rare candy, and a Mega Ring. After defeating the Mega Boss Bayonet, I challenged the gym leader, and after defeating all of his Pokemon pretty easily, I got myself my 4th badge to add to my collection. I then also defeated a Mega Boss Ampharos, getting me an Ampharosite, an Elytra, and a rare candy. I then defeated a Charizard raid den, which gave me a bunch of loot. I then also defeated a Samurott and a Barraskewda. I then continued defeating as many Pokemon as possible for my Dynamax quest, until eventually I completed it and now had to catch 30 different Pokemon. So I went around just catching as many Pokemon as I possibly could, until eventually I managed to catch all 30 Pokemon. So I headed back to the professor, and now she told me that I needed to challenge trainers. So I went out and just defeated as many trainers as I possibly could, until eventually I'd completed all of the quests and finally been given my Dynamax band. After equipping my Dynamax band, I was super excited to start Dynamaxing my Pokemon. With my new Dynamax band, I decided to head back to the Flying Gym and try my luck again. And with the power of Dynamaxing, I finally managed to defeat the Flying Gym, getting me the Feather Badge, which was now the 5th gym badge to add to my collection. I then headed back to the Fire Gym and managed to defeat the Charizard trainer. I then defeated the trainer just before the gym leader, and then I headed into the gym leader fight. And eventually, after a few losses, I finally managed to defeat the Fire Gym as well, getting me the Volcano badge, which now is my 6th gym badge. I then headed back out to explore, where I ended up finding a move relearner, so I used him to get all of the best possible movesets on all of my Pokemon. Whilst doing this though, I then ended up hearing an Eevee. So I ended up looking around and ended up finding a wild Eevee, so I decided to catch it as I wanted to eventually get a Sylveon. I then continued defeating as many raid dens as I possibly could, defeating a bunch of high level ones as well, because I wanted to get as many XP candies and rare candies as I possibly could. Because to evolve the Eevee up into a Sylveon, it needs to have max happiness and a fairy type move, so I just defeated as many as I possibly could until eventually I pumped all of the XP candies into Eevee and it evolved into an Espeon.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
I have not got a clue why it evolved into an Espeon. It literally had the right stuff, but it evolved into an Espeon. So I put it in the PC and threw it straight in the bin. I was not happy about this. I then continued my journey until I found a mushroom biome, so I headed in and managed to get myself 4 max mushrooms. I then continued on, defeating as many raid dens as I possibly could, until I found a little island with some wood on it and made myself a max soup, which I gave to Hatterin. After heading into a tentacle raid den, I G-maxed my Hatterin and it looked so cool. I then continued exploring, where I ended up finding a Tyranitar den. After defeating it, I then came across a water gym, so I headed inside, defeated all the different trainers, and then finally got to the gym leader. After entering the battle with the gym leader, I figured this would be a pretty easy fight, and I ended up defeating it pretty quickly, getting me my 6th badge of this 100 days, the Fen badge, and after adding it to my collection, I knew that I only needed one more gym badge to complete my 3rd and final challenge of this 100 days. I then continued exploring until an announcement came up in the chat which said that Hooper had appeared in a den in a desert biome. And after searching around for a little while, I ended up finding it. And the reason this is so important is because my 2nd challenge for this 100 days is to find and defeat a legendary raid den. So if I'm able to do this, it will tick off another challenge for this 100 days. With my Behemoth Blade on Zacian, I ended up defeating it pretty quickly. After defeating it, I got pretty decent loot, but I then remembered that I'd finally completed my 2nd challenge of this 100 days, to find and defeat a legendary raid den. I then continued just defeating as many raid dens as I possibly could, until I came across a desert temple, and inside I got some pretty good loot as well, with a relic crown which will sell for a lot of money. I then also defeated another raid den, and then headed into the psychic gym. And after defeating all the trainers, I made my way up to the gym leader, and started the battle. After heading into the battle, I wasn't too sure how difficult this one would be, but with the power of my Behemoth Blade and the Dynamaxing Grimmsnarl, I managed to take out the gym pretty easily, getting me my 8th and final badge of this 100 days, the Psychic badge. After adding it to my collection, I then realised I'd finally completed my 3rd and final challenge of this 100 days to get 8 different gym badges. Now that I'd completed all 3 of my challenges, if you guys remember back to the start of this 100 days, the professor told me once I completed all 3 challenges, I should head back and speak to her. So I decided to make my trip home to speak to the professor that I spoke to at the start of this series. And on my way back, I defeated as many raid dens as I possibly could find, and managed to take out a couple boss Pokemon as well, including a boss Gyarados, and then after defeating a couple more raid dens, I also defeated a boss Sharpedo. Finally, after defeating a few more raid dens, I made my way back to my house, dumped off all of my items, and then started the next journey back to the very first Pokemon Center that I started in to speak to the professor. After finally arriving back at the Pokemon Center, I'd made my way over to the Pokemon Center. I then came across the professor. After speaking to her, she said, "Welcome back, Wilson. How did you do with completing all your tasks?" "What? You completed all of them? Well done. It's amazing to see how far you and Popular have come. Now I have one more task for you. I've heard rumors of a haunted house. I want you to go and check it out. I believe the house is located somewhere near the coordinates of 12,000 and 10,000. Good luck, and remember, don't go near the paintings." So I took this message, and I headed out on my last journey. After hopping on Zacian, I travelled far and wide through many different biomes throughout all the days, and because it was at 12,000, 10,000, this was a long journey for me, so I continued for the next 10 days until eventually I found exactly what I was looking for. Oh, I think I found it. Finally, I think I found the house that the professor was talking about. Right, let's head inside. I think I'll grab this torch just to make sure I can light up the area. It's weird in here. I remember the professor saying to stay away from the paintings though, so I better stay away. I don't understand what we're looking for in here though. This is weird. It's just all these paintings everywhere. It's just rooms full of saplings? Wait, what's that noise? Huh? Whoa. What is that? It's all these ghost type Pokemon. I can hear a voice though. I can hear something calling out. Something... What's coming off the painting? What is that noise? Maybe I should head in and check it out. Whoa, what is this?